If you ever become a general aviation aircraft mechanic working on the little piston engines, you'll quickly discover that timing the engine, which is something you have to do every 100-hour and every annual, is fairly easy on Lycomings, because you can literally, like I'm showing here, put a straight edge up against that block on the flange on the crankcase, and then, I don't know if you're going to read it too well here, but right here on the flywheel there is a mark. I'm going to zoom in on it soon here. There we go. And on your data plate for your engine there will be whatever the spark advance is, meaning how many degrees before top center, which is right there. The spark should fire, so that, of course, electricity is not instantaneous. The Magneto's action is not instantaneous. By the time it fires, the plugs will almost be at top center, and inertia will cause the explosion to push the piston down in the right direction. And on Lycomings, put the straight edge there, you line it up with that mark. It helps if you take a little bit of pencil and you mark the tooth, just so you can see exactly where it is, and it's pretty easy. And if that's, for whatever reason, the even easier way, if you look at the point, but there's a hole in the starter. Let me show you that. Okay, this is the orientation the starter will be located in. Right there, see that hole? You can stick a pin in it, or you can just sight on it, and on the same thing on the flywheel on the engine, there will be marks that will help you align perfectly. And I find that usually to be the easiest, because I can just sight straight on it. I can bump the prop back and forth, line it up. I have my timing light on. Then I can go ahead and set the mags, and then I can move the prop a little bit and see exactly when the points are opening, and I get everything. Got it here now. Don't go exactly by what the camera is showing you. I don't think it's not seeing it the same angle that I am. Because to me, all right, we get it's right and left, and they're so close, I'm gonna call it good. So everything good. Lycomings, that's wicked easy. Continental, on the other hand, Continental engines don't have a flywheel, because the starter is back here, and the disengage, engage, and drive and all of that are there inside the back of the engine. They don't use the throwout like most cars with a flex plate or a flywheel use. And when it comes to timing, they have this thing called a bucket, which goes on here. So here's the timing bucket with all the indicator on it. This rotates, and see why it's called the timing bucket. And in this case, I would actually have to play with this, probably stick it right on the prop hub or something to make it work. And it's a major pain, because you take the stop pin, you screw it into the #1 cylinder spark plug hole, which is always in the back on a Continental, because they're backwards from Lycoming, and you turn the prop until it hits the pin. You set the dial indicator on the timing bucket, and then you turn it all the way around until it hits the pin the other way, and then you figure out what the mark is there. You divide in half, that's your top center. Then you go to the engine data plate right there, and you read your setback, which is 24 on this. That's your degrees before top center for both mags. And you then have to turn the disc so that top center is here, and then you find your 24 there, and then you can set your mags. And you should do it a few times, because this is rather it ain't good. It stinks. It's not precise at all, like a Lycoming. Continental finally got smart, and on later models you can see they thought of it, but they didn't do it for some reason. This is bored out. There'll be a plug here, and the gear inside of there, which is directly connected to the crankshaft, will have degrees on it, and you kind of have to make an imaginary line across it. I've seen, I think, a plastic thing with a red line to help you line it up. You could screw in, I don't know who makes it or where you get it. I've never seen it again. I saw it once. Somebody might have made it themselves for all I know. But anyways, and you can sight through, and that is more precise, but still it works. And in this case, this is an older crankcase and it's not bored out. It will not work. So, new tool day. This is a timing tool. I got it from aircraft Spruce maybe. And it is a mag timing tool. Now they make them for different models of Continental engines, but in this case this will cover pretty much anything I ever deal with. The other ones are sort of oddball engines that there's very few of. The 0200, 300, 360, 470, 520, and 550 are very common in GA, especially for your Beechcrafts, and in this case a 172 that I'm working on. And this is just a whole lot smarter tool because it uses something that makes it dead simple. So in this case, I've stuck one plug in my number one cylinder, put my finger over the hole on the other one, turn the propeller, and I can hear air coming out. That means I'm on compression on number one cylinder. That's all you need to find. You don't even have to find top center or anything like that, so that it's seated very nice and firmly. And then what you want to do is have a nice straight shot right down those two crankcase halves and figure out your marks. Now this goes 30 to 20 or 24. Each one of these marks is 2 degrees. Let's zoom in so we get a better picture of that. And we just simply bump the prop, once again hitting it on the sharp edge, not the rounded edge, until we can sight and see that the 24 is lined up with the marks on the timing tool. And this is the angle you're probably going to be looking at it when you're actually doing this, but we know that that is 30, and then 28, 26, 24, and the last one over there is 22. So we'd want to make sure we had a good angle, and of course sighting along crankcase halves here, and we once again hitting on the sharp side of the propeller, keeping our sights all lined up here. Okay, there's 20. And that's 30 actually. There we go. About 28. 26. And that, I would say, is 24 when I get all the angles right. Doesn't quite look like it on the camera, but when I look at it with my own eyeball, that's where I'm coming out at 24. So now I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the mags. Notice on Continentals they're on top of the engine, and get the timing light to actually start making some noise when the lights go off, telling me that it has actually opened the points, and that's the point I want to time it to. And then we want to find the exact moment where that stops. That means now the points are closed again, and now we're looking for them to open. So right there. And then the trick you're always going to find is, you can think you have it, oh, I have it lined up perfectly. soon as you start to tighten down these nuts, everything's going to shift just a little bit. So don't tighten them fully. Give them a little cracked. Until you can, and now I can't move it by hand. However, I can move it with my rubber mallet. Just a little tap like that. So there, and I'm just trying to set it to where that light just goes out. Right there. That should get me what I'm looking for. Now we do the other side, same way. You always want to be moving them when you're setting it, so you're coming from closed to open, because that's the direction the gear lash needs to be, to take all the slop out of the gears, because these are straight cut gears with a little bit of play in them. So what we're looking for now is we're going to move the prop back just a little, just beyond the scale. We're going to start bumping it back again. 30, 28. That's 26. The camera's a little offset here, but there we go. You can see the. And remember, I'm not going by the camera. I'm going by my eyes. What my eye sees when I sight on this. There's 1, 2. So I'm splitting a degree there, but by my eye, this is right on 24. And of course, what I'm doing is I'm actually sighting down the top of that, kind of like the way you sight down a rifle, and then looking over, and the crankcase flange goes down, and I'm just finding where the two of them meet here, because I know that is a straight flat plane, and I can time it, and now my mag timing is good. Simple as that. Of course, you might ask me, why do you have that goofy tie wrap with the little blue thing on the end? Because I work by myself, alone, most of the time, and I want to make sure, since I don't have somebody else to check and make sure I've done everything right, I give myself a warning. You know, just like pilots have, you know, remove before flight things that they stick on pitot tubes and static ports and angle of attack sensors and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of my remove before flight. Like, hey dummy, you left something in the engine. When you're going to put the top cowling on, you always take and do a last look over the top of the engine, make sure you didn't leave any tools, rags, all the spark plugs are installed, they're tight, you actually want to give them all a little touch with your fingers. Good habit to get into, double check all your work. And in this case, when I'm going to put the top cowling on, if I see this thing sticking up, yes, I will go, oh shoot, I forgot it. Whereas that down tucked behind the propeller spinner, I may not notice, because this isn't bright orange. The only problem, that sticker should be bright orange, and it should be on both sides. But you know what? This works too.